We have so many people we look up to and each other as peers, and we think, yeah, I need stuff to do this better. No, I just need better skills.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing gear acquisition syndrome, G.A.S, all these things that are part of product announcements. Do we really need them, and how do they affect us as creators? It's interesting that we seem to discuss what we've bought periodically, or what we haven't bought, or why we bought what we've bought, and what we've returned. And seriously, at this point in time, we've just passed the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference with their product slew onslaught of devices. And so we're going to spend a little time not just talking about Apple devices, but there have been some other vendors that have brought out stuff lately. And we're going to discuss things that we have bought, things that we might have bought, and the utter failure of some of these devices to really help us in our creative process. And I'm going to start with Alec. Alec, what are you holding up, young man? And has it helped you at all?
Yeah, high-tech, nice, shiny doorstop that I bought about a year and a half ago. And yeah, it works great as a doorstop. Yeah, I think that was the Loop Deck, which is still, they had a recent software update, so I dusted it off to try it out again, but the software still lets it down, unfortunately. So there you go. It's still a doorstop.
And how much was that doorstop?
I can't remember now. $150 doorstop or something like that. I'm still clutching onto it in the hope that one day it will become more usable. But I suppose that is a really good use case, a really good case study, I guess, of these things where we see these things and want to try them out. I mean, I've got this like perpetual excuse that I'm going to test it out for the channel. So that's the little always the excuse I've got with having a tech channel is, oh well, I was just reviewing it. So there is always that. But I did have high hopes for it, and then yeah, as I say, the software let me down. But I think that the to answer the original question that you asked is, do we need all this stuff, all the new shiny things that come out? The answer usually is probably no. I mean, there's that whole cliche of, oh, you've all got a mobile phone, you can just go live with your mobile, and yeah, okay, you can do, but all of these things that we add into our studio spaces are kind of just a nice to have. And like whenever there's a new camera out, you'll always see people talking about, oh, they've got to have the new one that's come out, the next model number. But for the first, year, was it, on my channel, I was using a 10-year-old Canon plugged in over USB, giving me 720 out. And I don't think people really necessarily were, commenting that, oh, your video looks terrible. And that was like a decade-old camera. So you really don't need it. And the lights that I had when I started out as well were, if you want to change the color temperature, you change the bulb. They just took regular household light bulbs. They were like soft boxes with 4 little screw threads for light bulbs. So yeah, that's how I started with my channel. So really, you don't need all of this. You don't need the NaN lights, the latest cameras, and all of that kind of stuff. But I will say you should get a Stream Deck. I think that is the one bit of equipment that I would say has made everything and a good quality mic. Let's just get that out of the way, obviously, to sound good. But a mic and a Stream Deck, that's the one thing that's kind of stayed as everything else has evolved in my studio. Yeah, they've been a real sort of game changer. And it's a worthy investment, but everything else is almost a nice to have, really.
Right. I mean, so we've discussed previously, my sister streams on Facebook every day for her crafting business, and her one big thing that just bugged her brother was her audio. I mean, she streams off her phone. It looks great. I mean, the vertical orientation kind of makes me twitch a little bit, but beyond that, she puts out a good a picture. But she was sitting in an echo chamber, so I finally just bought her a lavalier mic for $15, and that plugged into her phone, and now she uses it every day, and it has increased the quality of her stream so much. She talks about it all the time. Oh, this is my brother. When I come in to her stream to say hi, this is my brother, and this is what he did for me. So it doesn't take a lot of money to improve, the simple things. Again, what is it said? people will put up with bad video, but people won't put up with bad audio. So, think of it that way. If you're in a financial tight situation, think of what's the cheapest thing you can do, and that's improve your audio. Dina, talk to me. What have you regretted any purchase?
I can't say that I necessarily regret it, but I'm still not using it. I bought some of the Stream Deck pedals for the kitchen stream, and I don't know, I think within the first week they fried out for some reason, and it took me forever to actually get around to reporting it. They fixed it right away. So way to go, Stream Deck. I mean, they took care of me as soon as I got off my ass and actually contacted them. But then it's a really good spot for a dog to sit on and press buttons for you. So every time I've hooked it up just to see if it would be useful here at my desk, somebody has decided to sit on it, and I end up unplugging it again because So that would be the one thing that I didn't necessarily need or didn't help. Stream Deck, the desktop, all the keys, 32 keys. Yeah, that one, I absolutely couldn't have done my stream without that. So that's the biggie. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that... Yeah, no. I needed the cameras at the time. Do I need them now? Probably not. But at the time, the things that I bought actually did contribute to me being able to deliver the product that I wanted to deliver.
It always surprises me in our groups when somebody that we know, starts to put up a whole bunch of equipment for sale. And you have to ask yourself, are they getting out of what they're doing, or are they just upgrading? But, every once in a while you're like, oh, look, they're selling their Stream Deck. What? So, Michelle, you've never bought things you've not needed, right?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so...
You've never had bad gas.
No, not really. I use all of my stuff. Really? No. Well, let's see. Cameras. For me, that would be cameras. Because, I got all these cameras. You know what's the funny thing is? The funny thing is, the camera that I'm using right now is oh God, what is it? I haven't looked at that thing in a long time. It's a Sony 61000. I have two ZV-1s, a ZV-1F and a ZV-1 that I use for my mobile stuff. Do I take them off of the purchase? No. But the camera that I'm looking at right now is a Sony 6100 with a Sigma 16 lens on it, 1.4 or whatever. I don't know. Yep. I don't know what it is 1. anymore. Right?
It's the same camera I'm looking at right now. You and I have the exact same camera.
Exactly. Right. I have I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 of those cameras, and then 2 of the ZV-1, whether it's a 1 or a 1F. I got one of those, and I got one of the other ones. And I like the camera quality out of the other ones. They're small, they're lightweight. I could move them around and take them different places. Has my show gone on the road? No. Did I need those cameras? Probably not. But I like them. They're nice to have different angles. When I was doing other things, when I was selling jewelry and stuff, it was nice to provide different angles when I was doing that. But I haven't done that in a while. And so now it's just like furniture. It's just other furniture. And then to me, the one thing that I remember when I first bought it, I was ridiculed beyond an inch of my life that Stream Deck, that 6-key Stream Deck, they were like, where you going with that? Get out of here. I could remember that. I remember that live stream. It was a 5-hour live stream, and I was ridiculed mercilessly. I was drunk that day too, but I was ridiculed mercilessly for having a 6-key Stream Deck.
That 6-key Stream Deck is pretty damn ridiculous, though. You got to admit.
But I use that thing every freaking week. I have two 32s and a 15 on my desk right now with every button filled with everything. The 6 keys that I use all the time, guess what? That Stream Deck is in my hand.
It's a Christmas ornament. It's not even a real thing. It's like hanging from your rearview mirror in your car.
I use it though.
It's like baby booties. Like you don't. It's ridiculous.
I bought a 6 key for my wife's computer setup, and then she decided not to office from home. So I just took it and I plugged it into the computer back there just so I could, do some basic stuff. But now she's going to office from home again, so I'm going to have to give that up. But yeah, no, it's a tool, and again, I think the 6 key can be used productively by some people, but yeah, I know it's small, and we need
every single week thing. Because I have two 32s and a 15 on my desk. They're nice and pretty to look at, but the 6 key is in my hand. And when I want to use the 6 keys that I use all the time, guess what? It's in my freaking hand, and I use it. When I want to use all the other keys,
so you're actually holding it when you use it, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
My hand knows where every key is, so I don't even have to look at it.
See, I think that's a perfect use for it, though. If you hold it in your hand and you've got those, that's perfect. I think it's not probably what it was intended for initially, but it works. I mean, I've got one of the Stream Decks with the knobs on it sitting right here, and honestly, that hasn't done much as of yet. And I have this still in a box. So, yeah.
It's a face cam. Like what he's showing, for our audience who can't see what he's showing the Elgato Face Cam Pro.
Sorry, just one more hand swipe. Yeah. And so, and I know that I will use these eventually, but part of my problem is in my gear acquisition, I'm also buying for my son and my wife. And then for whatever reason, they're just, something has changed. So I will fully admit that.
Say that.
I was just going to say the same thing. I'm like,
I bought a pedal for my dogs.
Yeah,
your production assistant, surely.
Yeah. I will take the hits for the stuff that I bought for myself that I haven't used. Case in point. But, there are certain things that I purchased. I bought my son a Mac Mini a year and a half ago, hasn't touched it. And now he's going to college and he's required to have a laptop. So I bought him the 15-inch Mac Air from the announcement in a lovely midnight blue. And so he gets that for his birthday in a couple of weeks when he arrives home from camp. So, I have hopes that he will use it more often, but as a parent and a friend of other parents that have kids, they try and do as much as they possibly can on their iPads and their phones. If I've known kids that have tried to write papers on their phones, and it's not the tool I would use for it, but again, so I've purchased the laptop for him, and we'll see if Dad acquires that again 3 to 6 months from now, which wouldn't be bad because it's a good computer and we can figure out something to do with it. But I have my own laptop, so I will.
If they had Microsoft Word on the phone, you would probably try to use it to write a paper.
I have Microsoft Word on the phone, and I have Excel, and I have PowerPoint. I have the whole. They have the whole suite available on the phone. Okay, I took a whole call on Teams today.
Gee, I didn't mean to get you started, old man. Golly. Sorry.
I'm just telling you, sometimes you just got to stay with the best. Speaking of old men, hey, Rich, what have you regretted purchasing?
My problem is I have a bunch of saved searches on Craigslist, so I buy stuff used. It's not a problem. It's actually, I've discovered some neat things. The last ZV-1 I bought was $300. No camera, no box, no accessories, but it is the actual camera and it works fine. So I've got 4 ZV-1s that I've got off Craigslist, and I've got this little monitor I got off Craigslist. And I have one of those face cams that you have, and I could never get it to work. So, and that was like $80, and so it's sitting over there in a bag because I could never get it to work right. That I've regretted.
The face cam or the face cam pro?
Well, I don't know. I guess the first one.
Okay.
It's the face cam. But yeah, I could never get it to look right. It looked funky. The controls were weird. So, I have the Synology, which I think I mentioned that in our little Discord, that's the only thing that I probably didn't need at the time. I thought maybe I need it because I was doing a lot of hot swapping to the drives and all that kind of stuff. So, and it was okay. I mean, it's fine. I'm glad I have it, but I probably didn't need it at the time.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I have it too. But it's like buying a battleship.
It's huge. It's a lot of, and it's a lot of money. It's not like a $300 thing. It's like a couple of grand. So
it can do so many things, and I'm not going to spend my time learning how to run it as a mail server, or to open it up, so I can share files on the internet or something like that. I just have big files I need to store.
Yeah.
And I need a place to store it. So that's why.
But my problem with it is that it's here in the office. So the laptop's only here 8 or 10 hours a day. So when I'm here and it's plugged in, it's backing up. But I don't know. It's not here long enough to back up everything at a time.
And it can be loud.
And I didn't know that either. And it's right next to my damn chair. So I should have put it across the room. But that's okay.
I've been on calls and people are like, "What's that noise in the background?" Oh, that's just my.
Oh, I haven't. Mine's not that bad. But other stuff I bought is, the RCP's fine. I've used it. My 32 Stream Deck I like. I've got another 15 on my other desk over there because it was cheap. It was $50 on Craigslist. So
my regret is buying the RCP2, and it's not been playing nicely. And so I still have the RCP1. So, I'm deciding what I want to do at this particular point. And so. And one of the things that I was considering is because I actually have to set up an office, in an office building and not work from my home for a few days a week coming up. And so, I'm trying to figure out what my desk is going to look like. And, one of those things that had just come out was the Streamer X from Rode. And I was kind of excited about it because it's got, microphone input. It's basically take over what you would use a cam link for. And then all of a sudden somebody's telling me it ain't working that great. So let's talk to that somebody about that. Hey, Keely, tell us.
Are we ready for this, Spicy? Because I'm so frustrated.
You go, girl. You go.
Well, so... As the house minimalist, let me just, preface everything by I occasionally get caught up in thinking that a small purchase is that can just improve a couple little things in my setup is going to be worth the time that it takes to research it, set it up, and integrate it into my workflow. And I think what, we'll eventually move on to is just the overall theme of, what the hell are we doing buying things as content creators when we know damn well we don't need the shit. But what I was hoping to do with the Streamer X was to replace what seemed to be a faulty cam link. And now that still might be the case. I don't know. But the idea of getting rid of a cam link that was causing me some grief, and I'm not... Of all of my weaknesses, of which there are many, my biggest weakness is not understanding cameras. And I get very frustrated when anything doesn't work with cameras. Y'all know this. You just saw it happen before we came live. And I think what I'm realizing is that at some point when I grow up, I'm going to come to that realization that I've got a really good setup. It's not perfect. It does take me some time to get things moving in the right way and that sort of thing. But the amount of time that I spend, if I just want to change one little component, I want to add the Streamer X in, then I'm changing all my ports around, everything shifts. And then all of a sudden I look up 8 hours later and I'm, I've got paper cuts and I'm sweaty and I don't know what's happened, but I could have made 8 hours of content in that time. I could have spent time with my community. I could have been thinking of, better ways to run courses. And I think for us, we're at that point in our creator journey where we had that bell curve of where we really needed to learn the equipment. We needed to learn what a good camera was and what a good microphone was and good lighting and get to that point. But now we're at that point, that's not what we need anymore. What we need is the biggest gains we're going to have is making better content, making the stuff that people are looking for from us and serving a need and answering a question and solving a problem. And that doesn't come in a box from Amazon. And I'm talking to myself here. I know I'm like looking at you guys, but I'm talking at my own teleprompter, and it's me that I'm like really mad at because I fall into this trap. And it's something that we all in this community, we have so many people we look up to and each other as peers, and we think, yeah, I need stuff to do this better. No, I just need better skills.
Right.
Better needs.
Just to sort of address that, like before you get too hard on yourself, I think that the Streamer X, though, for you, because obviously out of all of us, you are the minimalist, will consider every single item that you're going to put into your setup. But correct me if I'm wrong, but the other thing about the Streamer X that was the reason why you kind of took the plunge in it is not just because it's a capture card, but it was also some of the audio things that you wanted to be able to do that you were doing previously with software as well. So it was something really, just so that you're not too hard on yourself, it was something that was really carefully considered. And I would guess that had you not had like a series of issues that were, I don't know, maybe some related to the Streamer X, but also there was some that were related to running it through a dock. I also found that I had some issues running the Streamer X specifically through a dock. When I plugged it into a different port, it did something different because of, I guess, the USB bandwidth or something like that. But I think you've probably had a collection of negative experiences with it that now you're thinking, like, oh, well, this was a waste of time. Whereas if you hadn't had that, then it has got some functionality that you were specifically looking for, like the hardware mute and camera and the ability to control stuff, potentially the audio routing to be able to do the kind of things that you can do with the Rodecaster Pro 2, but just without that massive big thing on your desk. So
you fell for the sales hype. The part of it is you were told it was going to do something and you assumed it would do something and do it well, and the device failed you. You didn't fail the device. So just, yeah. And maybe returning it and you might get something back from them. But I mean, considering I'm sitting here with a somewhat hobbled RCP2 and you've got a Streamer X, maybe it's not us that's the problem. I don't know. I'm just going out on a ledge. What do I know? I went to public school in Arizona. So
Can't steal my joke, God damn it.
I stole it, used it, and gave it back to you.
Sharesies.
That is the reason why. That is the very reason why, everybody comes out and like, oh yeah, we got this, we got that. This is a new and improved shiny and all this other kind of stuff. I'm going to give it some time. I want to see what problems everybody else is having with it before I jump on that bandwagon, because like you, Rich, I am still rocking with RCP1 and I am cool with that. Okay. As big as it is, it's not on my desk anywhere. I mounted that puppy, before they was even talking about, oh, you can mount it. Yeah, you could put it on a laptop stand. That's how I did it. And it's not on my desk anywhere. Exactly. It is floating in the air and I love it. Why? Because everybody had a chance to use it. Everybody, they worked out all of the kinks and all of the bugs. And so now I'm not having buyer's remorse talking about, oh, yeah, I need to send this back. No, it's been out. I was like, okay, kick the tire a little bit. I like it. I ain't have none of them problems with the RCP2. As soon as everybody started putting their RCP1s on Trading Post or wherever the hell they were selling it, because everybody was like, they drank Kool-Aid and everybody was like, oh yeah, we do an RCP2. I was like, I'll give that a minute. And then everything started coming out. I was like, oh, okay. Nothing wrong with this one. This one's still working. Okay. It's fine for me, but hey, do you? So I like to wait and kind of get the reviews out, get past the hype, get past the, all that stuff
you
that
really,
people put out.
Are you really a creator if you wait? I think that's the philosophical question for the day. Are we really, shouldn't we rush into things? Isn't that the creative process?
Only fools
hitting our
rush
faces? Okay. Great.
Only fools rush in.
Then I'm a fool.
Yeah. Well, let's talk more about hype because, we've had a big hype cycle with WWDC and, there's some nice incremental changes with the operating systems on the various devices, and there's a 15-inch MacBook Air, and Alec is going to go buy a Mac Pro so he can put a bunch of PCIe drives or devices in and have multicam set up, and I think that's dope. And for Alec, he's got that set up. But I mean, the real thing that everybody is super freaked out on, and let's trend jack the crap out of this, is the Vision Pro. And if anything can get us galvanized around G.A.S, I think it's talking about that device, because it's so extreme. It's absolutely out there in terms of what us as a bunch of pretty tech-loving nerds would contemplate in the universe. So how are we all feeling about that? Is there anything?
$3,500 is expensive, but with everything, there's always going to be something that comes out at a very high price point. And if it can do what it says it can do, there's going to be some pretty happy rich people down the line. And there's already been a few reviews. I watched Marcus Brownlee used it, and he was impressed by it. I think it kind of shows the technology of the future, and it's represented by an extremely high priced device that I think, will get some traction, will be things. Do I wish, do I want to buy one? I'm maybe in second or third generation, but I think the thing that really made me impressed by it as a father of a child who is severely vision impaired, was that they thought of those people that have vision impairments at whatever levels, slight or deep, and that you can get, the lenses ground and they magnetically hold inside there so they can use them. And I'm thinking, for my kid, that is going to be a game changer, because, how he uses computers is a little different because of his vision. And if he can be more productive in this particular situation by a device like it in the future, then, it's fine. $3,500 isn't going to walk, I'm not going to spend that. But I version 2, version 3, it looks pretty good for something entering our household.
I've got zero use or interest in that VR, all that VR stuff. When it was a $300 Oculus, I don't care. I'm not going to sit around on my desk and pretend to be somewhere else.
Yep.
And I'm just not going to do it. I mean, nobody's convinced me to do it. So for 10 times that, I'm still not going to do it. So I have no interest in that at all.
Yeah.
But that's just me for that thing.
We have the Oculus. Well, it's my kid and my husband. They play with it. They do all of that good stuff. It's, where it is? It's in a box at the side of the bed, just collecting dust. If we have one of those and it's like, okay, why would I use that? I mean, for the people who could use it, great. But you know what my reality is? I see it every day. Okay, I don't need the virtual reality. I'm good.
Well, one thing they demonstrated was that you put it on your face and you can, in your house, it looks like you have an 85-inch TV on the wall floating around in the sky. That's great. But who likes to watch TV by themselves? I mean, if you don't have two of them,
right? Yeah.
If you don't have two of them or three of them for your family, you're going to hear you look at it for a while. It's like passing binoculars. I just don't think there's.
Maybe they're just targeting all the single people that live in tiny houses.
Maybe. Keely.
Yeah, I mean, Dee and I are putting up our hands. I mean, I'm not single at the moment, but I sure like watching my shows on my own, because Corey and I have very different tastes in everything. And for me, it's not about the, the virtual reality, the augmented reality, the hybrid, or whatever it is. To me, it's the sea change in spatial computing. So being able to put a device on your head and interact with your computer with an operating system on your face, and to be able to go pluck, 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 pluck. Okay, I'm going to type a bunch of things over here. I'm going to cut my video over on this side. You can have dozens of 4K monitors around you within your view. That's what I'm interested in. I don't really give a shit about really watching the movies and things like that. It's about how this is a complete change in how we interact with with computing, period. The way that, for me, the Trio was a complete change in the way that I interacted with computing, because I had something in my hand that I could do everything with that I couldn't do before. So for all my minimalism, and I'm not saying I'm going to make content and this is going to change my business. It absolutely isn't. But in terms of a hobby, I don't have to take up gaming, and I don't have to go out for knitting class, and I'm not going to go to yoga, but I am going to buy one of these things so I can learn what the next phase of computing is going to be, so I'm comfortable with it and I'm into it, because I know what happened to me when I picked up a Trio. I know what happened to me when I was the first person in law school to rock up with a laptop computer and to do law school with a laptop. Nobody else was doing that, and it changed the game. I want to be a part of those game-changing things. I don't need a Streamer X for that little tiny increment of whatever, but I sure want to be at the head of game-changing things. But
yeah,
Dee,
we're
you're
looking
nodding.
at we're
You're
looking
like,
at a tech. Yeah, we're looking at a technology that's going to change the way we do certain things, and I mean, but we just have to look back at the things that we didn't have before, and because people made the same argument when laptops came out. Do I really need to carry around my computer with me? Is this something that, and then that became the norm. We've gone through, do I need a smartphone? I love my BlackBerry. We're going to go through these changes every once in a while and just accept it. The thing is we just don't know what developers are going to do with that device. I mean, we know what Apple thinks you should do with that device, but somebody's going to come out with a use for that's going to really blow people away. And then, that's fine. Again, we're not sitting around with $3,500 in our pocket. I can buy, 3 or 4 laptops for that and just, glue them on PVC pipe around me and get the same result. But, for right now, it's a cool thing.
You should do that. I'll give you the duct tape. That's awesome.
I will.
I think the drawing the comparison between things like Oculus and all of these other things is not the thing to do, because it is about what Keely's saying. # Keely was right. It is this whole new paradigm shift in computing. And Apple even mentioned this in the thing. Obviously, they're going to spin things their way, but how and they're not always the first to market with these things. But they've usually done something that is like a bit of a game changer. So they talked about, every new platform that they've created has had like this sort of sea change in the way that you interact with it. And it was, initially the mouse with the Mac. They weren't the first person to, use a mouse, but they were the first one to have it mainstream as part of their user interface. Same with the iPhone and the iPod Touch when that first came out. That was my first experience of multi-touch, was actually an iPod Touch. And I just remember that thing of like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like the way that you can just interact things with, multi-touch. We kind of forget that is so embedded now into every device, but that was like a sort of game changer. And I think that it's going to be the same with this. It's the way that you're interacting with this device, for me, that is the reason why I'll be getting one, because it is a completely new way of doing things. By all accounts, the people who have had it, I know there's only a few people have tried it, and it's been very tailored to a particular path, because it's nowhere near, ready for available. But everyone who's tried it has just been blown away by, first of all, the accuracy of the eye tracking. So you can just look into a search box and then type what you want in there. You can control things with your hands. The setup to actually get it to recognize your hands and where they are in space is phenomenal, apparently. The way that you can interact with like movies and 3D things. So there's a whole demo that they do of it where you're watching a sort of movie, but it's kind of like it's a live movie as well as a as a recording. I'm not really explaining this very well, but there's one particular part where there's a butterfly flying around. But if you put your finger out, your hand out, this butterfly will come and land on your finger. It's like that accurate in terms of the tracking, and it's doing all this live. So when you think about everything that it's actually doing on board, I was actually blown away by how low the price was. When they announced this, given that this is a Gen 1 device, it's got an M2 processor in it, it's got this new chip for all of the tracking. With my background from aeronautical engineering and the stuff that we were doing in there with all like sensors, I'm continually amazed by where we are with sensors these days. But I was using 3D CAD software with a 3D headset 2 decades ago, and that cost over $100,000 for the headset. I mean, where this is going to have applications is a bit like drawing the comparison between the Mac Pro and saying, oh, it's really expensive. But people who've got a need for it don't find it expensive. And I think that there is going to be companies that are, buying, dozens of these things at a time just for all of their engineers to use with CAD software and that. And it is a complete paradigm shift in the way that we interact with computing. And that is the reason why I'll be getting one, is just to be, experience that and to understand where that's going to take us in the future. And at some point, they're not going to be massive, big headsets that, there's loads of things about it that were really creepy as well, from a just not being used to it point of view. But at some point, this technology is going to get smaller. It's just going to become more of a less of an intrusive thing on people's faces when they're sitting in their living room with their kids, which I probably won't be doing.
I can see, I can definitely see that. We look at electric cars. I won't name the brand, but 10 years ago, how expensive electric cars were then and what they are now. So, it's going to get to the point where these will be affordable. Well, that was a lovely discussion about equipment and what we need as a creator and what we don't need and what we regretted buying as a creator. So thank you all for listening today, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for hopping into our Creators Pod. If you enjoyed it, we'd love if you would subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Tell a friend about it too. Check out the video version on our YouTube channel, Creators Pod. The Creators Pod is produced by C22 Media. Alec Johnson, Keely Dunn, Michelle Lawrence, Rich Graham, Rob Vaules, and me, Dina Taylor. Thanks, y'all. Ready? Okay.